Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale doing a free-to-play episode. I asked you guys a couple days ago on Twitter, what is your favorite free-to-play deck? Now, you guys sent me over 100 responses. So, what I did was I actually spent a large part of my Sunday playing all the decks that you suggested. If you sent me a deck, I played the deck. So what I'm going to do here is play my favorite two decks of everything that was sent to me. I did adjust the decks a little bit and combined a couple of suggestions, and this is what I came up with. So I'm going to jump into, a couple live matches right now, and then I want to bring you probably one of the most famous free-to-play decks in all of Elite Gaming and Elite Nation, and that's Arrow's deck. So I'm going to show you a couple replays after we go ahead and hopefully win these matches, but you never know. So I'm actually on my free-to-play account, and I'm pretty low in cups. To be honest with you guys, I haven't logged onto this account in about a month, so I'm only at like 2,300. I just got to level 9. My cards are a little bit under-leveled, but hopefully, you know, like I said, hopefully I can pull off a couple wins. I am a big fan of these decks, and I'm going to talk about why, if I can do so, while playing at the same time. I'm notorious. Oh, whoa. Three Musketeers, put everything on hold. I'm spamming down my skeleton army and my baby dragon on those Three Musketeers. I did not see that coming there. I should have seen it coming, though, because he played the P.E.K.K.A. way in the back, and he didn't play much afterwards, and he has the Elixir Pump on the map right now, so I'm not seeing a ton of Elixir Pump up in Legendary Arena, but yesterday when I was playing this deck, or when I was playing all these decks all day, I actually saw a good amount of Elixir Pumps. It looks like they're definitely not dead. I would not open up a match playing an Elixir Pump, but if you play it, you know, throughout the match, and you do exactly what this guy's doing, you put it on the opposite tower that I'm targeting, you're going to be pretty safe, and it provides a nice advantage. It does last 10 seconds longer, and obviously you guys know it costs 6 elixir instead of 5, and it produces 8 elixir instead of 7. So those were the changes to the Elixir Pump. Now let's kind of get into the deck that I'm playing right now. So I really like this deck, and this is coming from somebody who wasn't a huge fan of, wow, another Three Musketeers. Sorry guys, gotta really concentrate on this. So I actually like this defense going on right now. He sends in a miner. Not worried about the miner. I'm just going to keep building huts over here. I took down the Three Musketeers using the minion horde there in the skeleton army. Definitely have to throw everything I can at those Three Musketeers. This guy's playing them directly in the lane. I definitely don't advocate doing that. If you're going to play Three Musketeers, I would advocate splitting them, because if he plays them in the lane, if I had Fireball, which I wish I did right now, if I had Fireball or even, you know, Poison or Rocket or anything like that, Lightning, I could take them down for a really nice positive elixir trade on my part. So I would not advocate doing that, what this opponent's doing here, but against my deck, it is pretty scary because I don't have a really good counter for it. But you can see what I'm doing right here. And we're going into sudden death already. I've been blabbing, I haven't even been talking about the deck, and I'm just going to spam this guy right now. Hopefully I'll get him down right here. Come on, baby. See, the thing is his P.E.K.K.A. is just totally killing me here, and he's able to take down all my DPS units. And now look, he's coming at me with the P.E.K.K.A., and you guys know what he's going to throw at me next. It's going to be Three Musketeers in the lane. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to play a Baby Dragon way over here and just distract those Three Musketeers for a split second and get my skeleton army and my minion horde on the Three Musketeers. I'm going to have to play a giant right on top of this Musketeer here and get another push going. I just don't want any extra damage going onto my tower at this point. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play this. I was going to just alternate between the two decks, but I'm going to play this deck right after this one, and I want to talk a little bit more about why I like it so much. But you can see here, we're actually going to start off this video with a tie. That's no fun for anybody, but it's better than a loss, and it will give me the opportunity to play the deck back-to-back. Interesting that he played the Elixir Pump right there. I can only assume that he figured it was going to be a draw too, and just kind of threw his cards on the table there. So, not like I said, not the way we wanted to start the video, but it will give me the opportunity to talk about the deck on this next replay here. I really want to talk about why I like this deck, and really talk about every card in the deck, and why hopefully you guys can use it and, you know, really kick some ass too. So what we're going to do here is start out with a Goblin Hut. I like starting out with a Goblin Hut. This is really a giant swarm deck, guys. And in a lot of ways, it actually reminds me a lot of the Jason deck. It's kind of like a Jason deck 2.0. Of course, it doesn't have the Hog Rider or the Elixir Pump. It has the Baby Dragon, so there are a few substitutions, but the idea, the mentality behind this deck is still the same. You're going to put your giant down, and you're going to stack a bunch of true troops behind him and totally swarm your enemy. Now, it has the baby dragon again and no elixir pump. So the thing that this deck lacks, that the Jason deck doesn't lack, is the ability to go in the opposite lane and really keep your opponent guessing. So Jason, for example, right now might play, or right before I play the baby dragon, might play a hog in the left lane, really forcing the defenders or the opponent's hand at what they want to defend against, what they want to do. But you can see here it worked out really nicely. The benefit to this deck versus the Jason deck is that you have that baby dragon instead of the hog rider, and the baby dragon is just absolutely nuts in the game right now, especially with everybody playing this Skarmy card. Skeleton army everywhere. Baby dragon, perfect counter to skeleton army. So putting the baby dragon behind the giant is actually really powerful, almost as powerful as it's ever been right now. So another usage, obviously, to the goblin hut there. I misplayed that skeleton army. Should have played it a little bit more towards the left there. I don't know why I was thinking the hog was going to go for my tower, but so many people, so many of you guys actually suggested hog rider decks. I think that, honestly, about 3/4, about 75% of the decks that you guys suggested I use on Twitter had a hog rider in them. I'm not sure if my opponent is giving up at this point. Okay, no, he just kind of flickered there. So I'm going to play the minion horde over here in the right lane, but anyway, the hog rider, it's such a huge, popular unit in the game right now, especially in arenas 7, 8, and 9, or 6, 7, and 8 rather, and even in 9, even legendary arena, hog rider is really everywhere right now. So that's another usage of the goblin hut in this deck. And why do I prefer the goblin hut instead of a cannon in this deck? A cannon would be more of a traditional defensive unit to have in this deck that will distract the giant and the hog rider, but I like the fact that the goblin hut can double as a giant distraction, as you see right now, and obviously offensively behind my giant. And you know what? It's just really cool to have the goblin hut there anyway, because sometimes it can just help you keep the opponent on their toes defensively. It can be a nice counter, a nice extra counter to things such as like a minion horde. Anything that's coming in your lane, it will just distract it and make it a little bit more difficult to get those units for your opponent onto your tower. So that's some of the reasons why I like this deck. Obviously, defensively, it has the 2 swarm armies, it has minion horde, and it has skeleton army. Those are great defensive cards. In fact, skeleton army, guys, we're starting to see the skeleton army replace barbarians in a lot of decks. So maybe if you're playing a deck with barbarians and if you're struggling, maybe go ahead and consider adding the skeleton army. By the way, guys, one of the matches that I was playing earlier today before I recorded, just testing out your decks, I actually got the super magical chest from. Really excited about that, and I know some of you guys really get a kick out of me opening them. And even though it's my free-to-play account, by the way, I'm going to start with a hog rider here right off the bat all by itself. I'm going to hover zap, but I'm probably not going to use it. So definitely not going to use zap against a skeleton and a Valkyrie. So anyway, what was I saying there? Super magical chest. I'm going to go ahead and open that for you guys after I play these decks, and hopefully we get something good in it. Hopefully there's a legendary card. We'll have to wait and see, but I will do that in between this and Arrow's deck. Now, I'm taking a little bit more damage than I had anticipated here on this right tower, but I do have a Valkyrie left standing. I'm going to go ahead and let her die, unfortunately. That wasn't the best opening for yours truly, but we're going to try to come back from this little deficit that we started out this match with. Okay, so what do I want to do here? What I'm going to do is try to attack this furnace from the left. I'm going to put the Ice Spirit over here, make my opponent think I'm going to go in the right, then put the Hog Rider on this side of the bridge, and then what's going to happen? Watch what's going to happen here. Hog Rider on the furnace, furnace down, and then he gets to the left tower, and I get a hit off it. So I'll take that because we were able to bait out my opponent's fireball, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and put a Mega Minion over here, play some defense. Hopefully that Valkyrie doesn't get one hit. I think she may, though. So I am taking a little bit more damage than I wanted to, again, on that right tower. Not doing a great job defending this match so far, but hopefully, again, we'll make up for it. So I'm going to send in the Hog Rider again in the left lane, and what I want to have happen is the opponent to play something in the right again, and he does again. I think I'm going to take down this left tower right here. He has no elixir left right now, if I have my math right. I'm going to put down the Inferno Tower, and the Inferno Tower locking onto the Giant, and the Miner not really doing anything. I'm not really worried about that. Very, very late placement on that Bomber by my opponent, so it looks like it can just pretty much play defense from here on out. And while I do so, let's kind of talk about this deck, actually, and about the cards in it, instead of just playing it and not even, you know, talking about the deck. So Obviously, it's a hog semi-cycle deck. I mean, it's not super fast, but it does have the Ice Spirit and the Fire Spirit, two very cheap cards. It has Zap, which is very cheap, and then, of course, it has the Musketeer, a little bit more expensive, and the Inferno Tower Mini P.E.K.K.A. So you have a lot of defensive weapons in this deck, so it is kind of a defensive deck. Mega Minion too, so it's like a defensive proxy deck. That's probably why I like the deck so much. Those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time know that I really like control-style decks. Now, if you miss my deck archetype series, episode, whatever the heck it is, check that out. I'll go ahead and link it in the description below, but basically I go through all the deck archetypes. In case you guys aren't familiar, maybe it will help you guys out. I'm assuming that you guys are probably free-to-play players if you're watching this video, and it might help you out to kind of, beyond just knowing what deck is what, it's a good idea to kind of have a general sense of what the deck archetypes are in the game. You can see, picked up a win there, and what ones you're most comfortable playing. That way, anytime there's a balance update like we just saw in the game, you can kind of think to yourself, okay, well, I know that I'm a control player, so how can I adjust my control deck to fit the current meta? That's what I do, but maybe you're a beatdown player. Maybe you're a player who previously played a lot of giant poison decks, a lot of Goizen decks, or maybe you're a player who played a lot of fast cycle decks. What you can do is, or a siege player, there's a lot of different archetypes, but what you can do is once you identify one archetype that you're really comfortable with, a lot of you guys probably are familiar with beatdown decks, kind of like the first deck that we played. The Jason deck is a good example of a beatdown deck, and that's more of an offensive deck. I like more defensive decks. That's why I like this deck. Three of the strongest defensive cards in the entire game are Mega Minion, Inferno Tower, and Mini P.E.K.K.A. And this has all three of them. You can stop a giant, you can stop a Lava Hound with the Inferno Tower, Mega Minion, you can stop pretty much about anything with these cards in this deck. So that's why I like it so much, and it has a lot of cycle power between the Fire Spirits and the Ice Spirit. You can use the Ice Spirit and the Fire Spirits to kill big swarms, the Skeleton Army, the Minion Horde. You just have a lot of flexibility, and of course, one of the best point damage cards in the entire game is the Musketeer. You have that too. That's why I love the deck. And you have, of course, the ultimate proxy card. Well, maybe the one of the three ultimate proxy cards in the Goblin Barrel, the Miner, and the Hog Rider. We have the Hog Rider in this deck, and that's obviously our main win condition, our main offensive weapon. So again, I'm going to send the Hog Rider in the left lane here and make my opponent kind of scramble, and it looks like he's scrambling right now because he's not playing any real defense. I placed the Ice Minion behind the Hog Rider. I'm actually getting a lot of damage done. I was a little late on that zap though, too busy blabbing to you guys, but my Musketeer actually got that right tower down, so that was pretty sweet. So now we're just going to do what this deck does so well and play defense. So let's see if I can time this Inferno Tower correctly. I want to make sure it locks onto the Royal Giant, and the Royal Giant locks onto my Inferno Tower and not my Crown Tower, and of course I screwed it up and I took about 400 of unnecessary damage to my Crown Tower. It definitely takes skillful timing on that Inferno Tower placement when you're going against a Royal Giant so that he's in range of your tower, but he targets your Inferno Tower. You need to get the placement timing just right down to the very second. So it looks like I'm going to take down his left tower here. I said I was going to play defense, but I love doing that combination. When you have a tower down and you're up in the game, what I like doing is sending in the Hog Rider, maybe with the Ice Spirit in the lane, and then sending in the Mini P.E.K.K.A. on the opponent's side of the map, and we were able to pull off a 3 crowns. So that's just an example of why I like this deck so much. By the way, guys, I just wanted to thank you as I open up this super magical chest. I wanted to thank you all for all your deck suggestions. This one was probably my third favorite, by the way, if you're wondering. But I do love the arrow decks too, so I want to go ahead and show you that one. But first, let's open up this chest. But I want to thank you. Last episode, I put out my longest episode yet, and you guys were so cool. You guys loved the long episodes, so I'm definitely going to start doing more of them. Look at all those Mega Minions. That's what I'm talking about. Mega Minion is one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Probably my absolute favorite card. I try to include it in... Oh! And there it is, Sparky. I got a Sparky, guys, and that was pretty cool because I just got it from a random match. It's not like I bought the chest or anything like that. So I can upgrade my Sparky to level 2. Now, on my free-to-play account, I only have 2 legendary cards, Ice Wizard and Sparky, and now I have a level 2 Sparky. So you know what that means, guys? I think I'm going to show you a Sparky deck pretty soon. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for a good one. I know Trainer Nick used a Sparky deck for a long time, but I don't think it works in the new meta. So anyway, we're going to have to keep an eye open. But let's start watching these Arrow replays, because Arrow's definitely one of our best tournament players. Now, he's in Elite Gaming as well. He's a co-leader over there, but this is his mini account, and he's kind of hanging with me here in Elite Nation 9, both of our minis in here, and he plays the same account that he plays on his main, on his mini account, and this guy has pushed to over 4,600 cups using the same exact deck, and he hasn't changed at all. He's been playing this deck since launch, and he has never changed decks. How insane is that? This guy's incredible. I just can't believe that this guy never changes decks. It's absolutely insane. So he's played this deck over 5,000 matches between his two accounts, and it's definitely worthwhile showing you guys how he plays it, because he's so familiar. So hopefully we can learn from all his experience and then maybe try it out ourselves. Now, he still plays the Elixir Collector. As I said, he hasn't changed a darn thing in this deck at all. But as you watch him in action here, I did want to again thank you guys. Last episode, that long episode that I was kind of talking about earlier, that a lot of you guys really liked, I asked you guys in that episode to share your favorite decks that are working for you right now, and so many of you guys commented with your favorite decks, and I was so grateful that you guys took the time to do that. And I saw that a lot of people were commenting that they found it really helpful to just scroll through the comments and see all those great decks. So what I wanted to ask you guys to do in this episode was the same thing. Can you guys tell me what your favorite deck is, but with a caveat? No legendary cards. I want to hear what your favorite free-to-play deck is with no legendary cards. So if you guys could take the time, help out my fellow viewers, your fellow viewers, and just go ahead and comment below. It'd be really cool to see what type of decks you guys can come up with. Who knows, maybe I'll even try one of them on my next Clash Royale video. So back to Arrow's deck. This deck is so cool, and it's especially cool because it stands the test of time, and it does remind me of the earliest days of Clash Royale. I remember sitting in a room with Chief Pat, Godson, Clash on Gone, Galadon, and I think that was it in the room that, or no, excuse me, Molt and Nick and Knight were also there. So we were all there in a room with Tim, the community manager for Clash Royale, and this was back at ClashCon of last year, guys. And we're sitting there in Supercell's office, kind of talking about ClashCon and stuff like that. Obviously, Clash Royale didn't even exist. We didn't even know it. And Tim was like, guys, I have a special treat for you. So he pulls out the developer iPads, literally the developer iPads, and we're like, what is this? What are you doing? Now, mind you guys, this was my first time there ever in Supercell headquarters. This was a year ago, and I'm like, what is going on here? Why am I even here with these guys? A, and B, what are they showing us right now? And Tim told us, guys, this is Scroll. And you guys are probably wondering what the heck Scroll is, but that was the code word for Clash Royale before it became Clash Royale. They just called it Scroll, and we played, and even the name Scroll came up instead of Clash Royale when you loaded it in, and this was it. And the reason I tell you that story, and we all loved it. I mean, I remember like Chief Pat and Molt especially were absolutely freaking out, saying this is going to be huge. I remember Chief Pat was like, this is going to be this is it, guys. This is it. You did it. Congratulations. That's it. You did it. And I just remember kind of being in awe, and I remember back then a few funny notes about that first version that I played. It was probably an early developer version. Obviously, like I said, it wasn't even called Clash Royale at that point, but a few funny things about it is that the structures, they didn't disappear. They just, once you built a structure, no matter what it was, like an Inferno Tower or a hut, it lasted the entire 3 minutes of the match, including overtime. I thought that was really funny, but I do remember that right off the bat, a lot of us played these type of decks that Arrow's playing right now, a deck with the freeze balloon combination, and that was like a really early version of the meta. So I just wanted to share that little story with you guys, because this deck does remind me of those early decks. And think about it, every single card in this deck is an original card in the game. There's no new additions, unlike a lot of the decks that you see in the meta right now. So the rest was kind of history from there, guys. I know Clash Royale launched about maybe 3 or 4 months after that day. day that we had the developer iPads in Supercell, and then it just became really popular. I remember my most unpopular video of my entire channel, my entire YouTube channel, was the video that I created announcing that I was going to be covering Clash Royale on a daily basis, and that was the day Clash Royale launched. I think everybody was so upset with me for being a Supercell sellout, but you got to remember, at that point, I had 4 months of playing the game, and I knew it was going to be a really, really fun game. So it wasn't a matter of me, you know, trying to please Supercell in any way. I just play games that, you know, luckily I had the opportunity of playing for a long time before it was released, and it was just so much fun that I knew you guys were going to really like it too, especially after, you know, you remember, these games are really, really young in their infancy. Clash Royale has still not even been out for a year yet, and think of where Clash of Clans was in the first year of its development. I mean, it only went up to Town Hall 8 at first, and then Town Hall 9, and that was like that for quite a while. I remember it was a really big deal when they released Inferno Towers, and of course there were no clan wars for the first 2 years of Clash of Clans. So I would expect to see a bunch of really, really big, new, cool features added to Clash Royale over the next couple years as well. That's part of the reason why I'm still so excited about the game. I mean, I've had the opportunity just to hear, you know, some chatter here and there between the developers when I do visit over at Supercell and stuff, and just some of the ideas they come up with is absolutely amazing. Now, who knows how much of that will actually be implemented in-game, but either way, just, you know, take it from me, guys. I definitely don't have any skin in the game, so to speak. I just do this for you guys, and you guys know that by now, but there are some really exciting things coming around the corner. Now, guys, I talked throughout that whole entire Arrow replay. If you're looking to see a video breaking down that Arrow deck, I'll go ahead and link it in the description below. I did a standalone video just highlighting that deck. So, guys, I want to thank you again so much for all your deck suggestions. I did read them all, and I got a chance to play most of them. So, guys, thank you so much, and please keep the suggestions coming. It helps me, it helps you guys, it helps everybody, and we're forming kind of a little community together. Me, you, and your fellow viewers. So, guys, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and as always, take care, guys.